Welcome to the podcast. We're street smart, business smart, all kinds of smart people share their insights into the world of marketing, career journeys, and personal growth. So sit back and prepare to get enlightened with your host, Adam Posner.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast where I bring you the best and brightest from the world of business, marketing, sports, and personal growth to help you harness your inner tenacity and drive your career and life forward. My guest today, Ty Washington, is a 400-meter world champion in track and field, NFL alumni, former law enforcement police officer, and motivational speaker and trainer. And today he encourages, motivates, and inspires people from all walks of life that regardless of the adversity they encounter or their environment, to have a positive mindset and surround themselves around positive people. That's really the way it should be, man. And he's encountered a lot of adversity in his life with losing 4 championship gold medals and his world record due to his teammates doping. Ty said no to drugs. They did not, and we'll get to that in a little bit. And he's faced adversity his whole life, diagnosed as asthma as a child that almost put him down. And many physicians who treated him said that he could never be able to play sports. And we'll talk about how far he did that. It's pretty awesome. Made it to the NFL and done a whole bunch of amazing things. And he's got a crazy, diverse background. We're going to talk about his story. We're going to talk about how he's trying to influence billions of people all around the world. Tyree Washington, Ty Washington, welcome to the show, my man.
It's a pleasure, man, Adam. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. So let's start things off, right? So normally, I always like to ask guests to tell their stories, anything that I didn't fill in. But I want to talk about a quote that you love, and it's quote, "Destiny can be delayed, but not denied." Why is that your favorite quote, and what does that mean to you?
Well, many years ago when I was still competing in track and field, I was getting to a point where, like, I was getting older, and so there was a lot of people were like, "Hey, it's time. Ty's time is up. Like he's no longer the way he was when he was younger, and just ripping off these times." But I was really frustrated. Went to my coach, Blackman Ehem, and I shared with him my frustration, and he gave it's like his father gave him the destiny can be delayed but not denied. So he passed that on to me. So it was like just passing the baton. And what he told me is, he said that in life that we all have a destiny, and we may encounter situations, we may encounter people or whatever that may try to slow you up from getting to your destiny, but they can never stop you. And sure enough, a year later, I ended up winning another world title. And so it just put everything in perspective to me, is that I can't listen. No one should listen to any other people. Anybody else. They should focus on their vision, and they should stay in their lane, and they should do whatever makes them happy. Adam, I think you cut out.
Sorry, I'm on mute, man. There we go. I was saying it was really interesting to research you and learn about your background and all the different intricacies of it. So let's jump into that story right now. And your story is really about overcoming adversity. I mean, what was it like? I mean, all that training, all that passion, all that hard work to lose something that you worked for someone else's poor decision. Let's take it back to us, and let's backtrack for a second and kind of give everyone kind of the context of that story. And then I'd love to hear, what that felt like, man.
Well, back in 2003, I was having like the greatest season of my track and field career, and I was undefeated leading up to the outdoor world championships in Paris. And at the time for me, I was like, well, it would be an act of God if I didn't win this world championship title in the 400 meters. And
You're
so
ready.
I was ready. I was ready to go, man. I was primed, and mentally, physically. And then I'm going through the rounds, feeling great. Then I get to the finals, and I just started feeling kind of bad, like about 150 meters to go, 120. And my teammate Jerome Young passed me up, and he ended up taking the victory, and winning the 400 meters. But I remember it was like I was standing on the track, and I'm looking up to this big, huge, like, jumbotron, and it's kind of doing the replay, and I'm just like, what the heck happened? It was like I got just socked in the stomach by, like, Deontay Wilder or something, man, like Mike Tyson. And I remember I was like, I went over to congratulate them, be a good sportsman, congratulate my teammate, and I remember there was like something was off, and he was already under investigation for doping in 1999, and then sure enough, like a year later in 2004, actually in Paris again, he had tested positive. And then some months later, November 2004, he got banned for life. And then 5 years later, my other teammate, he admitted he was doping for over like 10 years. And so since we're all on a relay together, then it's like if one person does something bad, then
Right.
basically we're all affected. And they stripped me of 4 world championship gold medals and my world record. That's what I want people to understand, is that these titles are not like national titles. These are world championship gold medals and my world record that they took away from me. And no athlete in history has been hit as hard as I have.
Do you resent them? How do you feel towards those guys?
Well, I mean, at first I was very distraught. I was frustrated. I mean, I shed some tears because, I mean, I didn't do anything wrong. Naturally, you're like, why am I getting punished? But I get the fact that if it's a team sport. If one falls, we all fall. And a lot of my teammates from other countries, from like Great Britain and Jamaica, obviously they got bumped up in the medal, within the medals, and so I just felt like, how could you just betray us? How could you betray me? And we're supposed to have this unity, this bond, this trust, and this brotherhood. Like we all stick together. We make good decisions so we have a great outcome. So I harbored some hatred in my heart for a little while. But then for me, everything was about forgiveness. I had to forgive them because I knew that they weren't bad people. They just made a bad decision. I mean, and a horrible decision. And so I just have to just turn that bad situation into something good.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough. I mean, these are things that are out of your control. I mean, I don't want to get into what you didn't know going into that, situation, but like, how do you get to that point of forgiveness? I mean, I know you had to have such rage and anger as any normal human being would have in that moment, but how did you find forgiveness? Where did you have to look inside to find that forgiveness? Where was that spot for you, Ty?
Well, for me, it's like I have a relationship with God, and I read my Bible and I pray.
Faith.
And like it's my faith. And to me, it's like well, I had to ask myself, it's like that, what would God do? Well, would God want me to continue to just hate them for the decisions that they made? And no, he wouldn't, because it's like you sometimes you have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, even if they may have committed a horrible act, and they're a human being. Like nobody is perfect. We all have issues. We all have flaws. And for whatever reason was going on in their life, they made a decision to where they want to take a shortcut. They wanted to cheat, but God helped me to be able to forgive them, because without forgiveness, man, it's like there's no healing.
And it's so hard for people, and it's such a point to get to in your life. But let me ask you this, right? There's got to be some solace in the fact that, yes, while you don't have that physical medal on you, you know that you won, right? I mean, even the individual stuff too. I mean, you know that you're fast as shit, man, right? You know that you were at the top of that game, but you're in this game for you want to be up there on that podium, right? You want to be winning that thing. That's a tough one. But let's rewind a little bit, because this isn't the first time you faced adversity. And let's talk about your NFL career. I believe you were signed by Washington, right? And I
was signed
by the Chargers.
By the Chargers, yes.
In 99. And then the Raiders picked you up, right?
Yeah.
And what happened there, man? Talk about your stint in the NFL.
Yeah. I didn't want to run track. I didn't want to do all the things I did in track and field and win all these world titles. I mean, I ran track like most football players to stay in shape. I mean, as a young boy, I looked up to Walter Payton and Eric Dickerson. I wanted to be just like them. And
they were track
going
guys.
to the NFL was everything. And so in high school, I was a great athlete in both sports, track and football. And when I signed with University of Oregon to play football full scholarship, I could win anywhere in the country. But things didn't quite work out because of some academic reasons. So coach from my coach Blackman, my junior college coach, recruited me to go run at San Bernardino Valley College in San Bernardino, California. He turned me into a phenomenal quarter miler, a great quarter miler. But I always told him, I said, I want to go back and play football. That's like my goal. That's my dream.
Yeah.
And if once I sign with a team, I'm not going to come back. I'm not going to come back to track and field. And so in 1999, I hired an agent, Dr. Harold Daniels. May he rest in peace. And and his assistant, JJ Flournoy. So I was working a lot with JJ, and Dr. Harold Daniels was working with other NFL teams and to try to help me to get try to get me scheduled for workouts. And so he scheduled me with the New York Giants, the Green Bay Packers, the Cardinals, and the Raiders. And so I worked out for all those teams, and I did a great job. And I decided to sign with the Chargers because at the time, my son was only 3 months old, so he was like an hour and a half away from me, and I didn't want to. I wanted to go to New York. That's where I wanted to go. And
you want to play for the G-men?
Yes, I sure did. And I wanted to go play for the Giants, and I wanted to be. They were going to let me play kickoff return, and play cornerback, and so I was in camp, and things were going great. But then I got hurt, and I came back, and I wasn't getting enough playing time, and so I got released. Then I got picked up by Oakland, but I didn't go to Oakland, and I was already on the team. I was already on the team, and the reason why I didn't go because there was a lot of things. I was young in my marriage, and there was a lot of things personally that was going on, and I talk about that a lot in my book, Autobiography.
Real life.
And so, but I had the chance. For me, if I wanted to stay in the NFL, I could have stayed in the NFL, but I decided to choose my marriage over going to the NFL.
That's a huge point, man. I mean, that's another point where you're at the pinnacle of your sport. You're at the top of the top, right? You're at the top of track, top of the top of football, and you made decisions. You made decisions based on, your love of other people, your love for other passions, and that's certainly commendable too. So let's fast forward a little bit. You've seen temptation in your life. You've seen other athletes destroy their careers due to performance-enhancing drugs. And you established Killeroid, right, to educate young people on the dangers of drugs. And then you rebranded it and expanded the organization to talk about all types of drugs. And what was the name of it? Drugs Be Gone? I like that. Let's talk about starting that foundation and the purpose and mission.
Yeah, so I started Killeroid years ago because obviously when I lost 4 world championship, my gold medals, I wanted to turn a bad situation into something good. And so that's why I created, we had started with Drugs Be Gone, but we're actually looking to broaden that because I'm a former law enforcement and peace officer. And so I want to talk about more recreational drugs because even within my family, it's just taking a toll on my family members and so many people I know. But the whole point of my message is that I want to educate people about how recreational drugs and performance-enhancing drugs can just ruin people's lives and that they can make better choices. And that even if they are having substance abuse issues, whatever it may be, is that if they hang around the right people and have an encouragement and follow the right steps, the positive steps, that they can be able to overcome that. So, but yeah, that was my whole mission, is just to flip it, man. I wanted to hey, this is a horrible situation. It's horrible. I'm losing my medals. I'm losing millions of dollars. And so how am I going to turn this bad situation into something good? And I care a lot about the young people. So I'm I got to educate the young people and inspire them and share my story and plant those seeds and so it can just blossom all over the world.
That's awesome. And, just going back to some of your injuries, how are you feeling these days? Are you still running? Are you still active? How do you stay in shape?
Yeah, I'm still running. I don't run as much as I want to. My wife is a sergeant in the U.S. Army. And so I get out there and run with her, here and there. But for the most part,
who's faster?
I'm faster. Yeah, I'm faster. She's only 5'3". She got little legs, and not to say that you can't be that short and run fast, but
right.
But I still can open up my stride like a cheetah and
still run fast. You just get up on her. I love it.
Yeah, I get up on her real quick. But I live 3 days a week, and I just stay in my lane. I stick with what works for me, and that's it. And I'm gone. Other times I'm just walking and chasing my kids. That's about it.
I love it. How long have you been married for?
I've been married for going on 10 years. So my anniversary on the May 28th is coming up. 10 years.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I got my 10-year coming up on March 13th. And
awesome.
Congrats on that. How many kids do you have? How old they are?
Yeah, so I have six kids total. So I got a basketball team. And
you got to play zone.
I got to play zone, man. And so my eldest is the age range from they got a crazy age range, but my oldest is 23 years old. Then I have my 15-year-old, and I have a soon to be 10-year-old in about 2 weeks. And then I have I'm very busy. And then I have my 6-year-old and my 2 and 6 month old.
I love it. So 2 personal questions here. All right, let's get Ty's number one piece of. All right, so let's pretend we have a buddy in front of us. He just got married yesterday. What's that one piece of advice you would give him to have a successful marriage?
Oh, I love this. I love this question right here because this is a good one right here. It's like the nitty gritty. So what I would
it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, man. We got to get into it, man. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. We got to keep love alive, dude.
Yes, man. We do have to get into this, man. So I'm gonna give everybody the advice that my pastor gave me. 15 years ago. It's been long, but so make sure you always date your wife, always date your spouse. Period.
I love that one.
And the reason why is that because people have to think about this, and with marriage is that when you were dating, you were doing everything you can to impress your spouse, right? And so you were smelling good, and you were saying the right things. You were dressing.
You were showering.
You were showering. You would take them to the movies. You would hold their hand. I mean,
You would
it's like
romance. You would be romancing there.
you're romancing them. But when you get married, you have a tendency to get comfortable. You're like, you know what, they're not really going to go anywhere. And it's really, you know, to be comfortable is to get comfortable is to cause a lot of problem in your marriage. But when you can date your spouse, you keep the fire constantly going, and it keeps everything new. And so that's the advice I
That's a
would
good
give
one.
everybody is just, always date your spouse.
I love it. And just to kind of riff off that a little bit, I'm big into surprises. I don't buy my wife flowers on Valentine's Day and her birthday because that's when you would expect it. I do surprise and delight. I do things when she's not expecting it. I know when she's having a rough week. And those
Yes.
are the things that really count because anybody could remember it's Valentine's Day or a birthday and send flowers, but it's about recognizing those moments that keep love alive. I love it. Now, switching gears for a little bit, you got 6 kids. You're a pro at this dad thing. What's a piece of advice? No, let's switch it up a little bit, Ty. What is that crazy lesson that you learned about yourself only after being a dad? Like what did you really learn about yourself?
So after being the crazy lesson I learned is that every kid is not every kid that you have, there's not a cookie cutter. They're not cookie cutter. Like they're not all the same. It's like every kid they have a different type of mentality and their personalities are different. And because all of my kids, like some, I have a couple of them that seem like they're similar, but the rest of them, like they're off the wall. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you're climbing on the wall like you're Spider-Man. And then I have another, my daughter, she's very just subtle and just relaxed and just really laid back. And so, and I think also too, is that I always think about just because you're successful and you're doing phenomenal things in your life, it does not mean that your kids are going to be successful. And I really learned that.
That's true.
And so like you wish that they would, you wish that they follow in your footsteps, but for my kids, me and my wife, we're always pushing is that you do something you love to do and you give it 100%. If you want to be involved in the activity, once you start it, you can't quit it. We don't care how much you dislike it. You're gonna finish it. So in our family, it's about you start something, you're definitely gonna finish it.
Yeah, that's so true. So let's shift gears a little bit, and we kind of glazed over your amazing running career, your professional athletic career. What's that one takeaway that you have from sports, right? Like, what is that one thing that you want to take from sports and pass on to your kids?
I think I think it goes back to just what I was saying is just make sure you have that no quit attitude, and that you just don't ever give up because. One thing I've learned is I didn't have a father in my life, and my coaches were my fathers. Teachers were my I got so many surrogate mothers and fathers out there, and one thing that I've always realized is if somebody, it's like you have to make sure you do something that you love, regardless of how someone else feels about it. Because if the person tells you, well, they dislike what you're doing, then you're going to quit it. So just love what you do. Be passionate about it. Because when you're passionate about what you do and you just love it and you would do it on your worst days, it's like you would do phenomenal things. And even if you don't, it's like success is defined in so many different ways, but it's still like you're giving it 100%. And when it's all said and done, you're like, hey, I gave it all I got. And so I could be at peace with that. So that's what I really learned.
So what are you up to now? 2020. What is Ty doing? Let's bring everyone up to speed. How are you taking all this knowledge and experience and just wealth of life experiences, and how are you paying that forward?
Well, I'm a certified speaker, trainer, and coach now, and so I get opportunity to be able to share my story and my message all over the country, all over the world. And I have an autobiography that's coming out, and it's called "They Told Me No," and we have a little tagline on it. It's like I turn no into yes and yes into success. And so my book is going to be able to, it's going to inspire and motivate and encourage and give people hope from all walks of life. And so I love speaking. I'm still working with athletes and just helping them to be able to set them up a position to where they can get a college scholarship. And it's not only just the training on the physical training, but it's also the mental training as well. And so I do a lot of mental performance and just life coaching and just sharing my message. I mean, after I finish this book, I'm writing a children's book actually about steroids. And
oh man!
And so I've already started the book. So we're working to see like maybe it may kind of drop the same time. I don't know yet, so we'll see. But
I dig it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, no, just like I was gonna say, just like my whole path in life is just to share my story and like my message, just to empower people, because That's what I want to do before I leave this earth, is plant as many seeds as I possibly can.
So I'm going to ask a question that I usually wait till the end, but you're talking a lot about legacy. What does that word legacy mean to you? What do you want to leave this earth remembered by?
Well, I want people to understand that even though life is going to bring you a lot of troubles, a lot of trials, and a lot of grief, but that the one thing that's going to help that is hope. And when you look at hope, there's so many people in the world that are going through what we went through and maybe a lot worse, and they have overcome. They persevered. And so I want them just to hang on to that, to look at my life, that, hey man, Tyree, this little knucklehead kid from Riverside, California, scrawny kid, grew up very poor but had a heart of a champion, heart of a lion, that he kept pressing forward, and he never gave up. And if I can do it, I know they can do it. And that's what I want people to leave. I want to leave with people. I don't really, to be honest with you, all the accolades and stuff that I have, that's all fine and dandy. That's great. But that stuff is going to wither away. But the message that I implant in people, that's going to last for forever, because people can just keep passing it on. But my medals, I mean, that stuff will wither away. I mean, my message is more important.
Damn, that's tremendous, dude. And I absolutely love that. Ty, there's so much authenticity in your story and in the way that you talk. I mean, it just resonates deeply with me, and I know with millions out there around the world. What does that word authentic mean to you? How would you define it?
Just being real, just being yourself. Don't try to. I mean, I know social media, and everybody's trying to Photoshop and filter their life, but don't try to Photoshop and filter your life. Just be who you are. People love when you can just be genuine and just be compassionate, be empathetic to them, and show them
100%.
empathy. It's like that's to me, that's about being authentic, just being bare to people. And a lot of people, I mean, the downfall of many of us, the 7.7 billion people on the planet, at a certain point in time, is our pride. And we have to kick our pride aside, kick that ego aside, and we have to show people who we are. And if you have a problem, don't be afraid to open up your mouth. God gives all of us a mouth, and the old saying is that closed mouth don't get fed. Let people know who you are. Let people know who you're going through, and don't be embarrassed. And I know people, I tell people this, that like if you look on YouTube, they have a thumbs up, and thumbs down. You can go out there and feed 1 million people, right? And you can have you can have so many thumbs up, but there's going to be somebody there's going to be so many people that are going to have the thumbs down. They're going to dislike what you do. So you do what makes you happy and what makes other people better in life. That's what I want. That's what I want everybody to do. I encourage you.
Dude. I love it. So let me ask you a question. What are you scared of? What scares you in this world, man?
I get scared sometimes of and I know it's crazy, but I get scared of failing. But I know failure is one of the greatest, is one of the greatest teachers. And it's like, for me, I want to do good. I want to help everybody. And my wife always tells me, she says, Ty, you have a big, big heart, and you want to just talk to everybody. You want to help everybody. And I feel bad when I see people suffer. I really do, because as growing up as a little boy, I seen so many people suffer, and so like that failure. But I know that I can't please everybody. I can't do everything, and so I just have to like I said, I would stay in my lane and just do what I can for just that person that's in my vicinity, and I can reach on a podcast, or I can reach on a social media platform, and that's it. So.
I love it, man. And let me ask you this, right? And these are a few questions that I ask every guest on my show, because I love to get different perspectives. Everyone has different life experiences. What is the single greatest piece of advice that you've ever received that you take action on every single day of your life?
Oh, the single piece of advice. Wow.
That you take action on daily. Like every single day you follow this advice, you follow this mantra, something that you live by.
I would go by, well, it's this right here. About a year ago, I was able to do some work with Jack Canfield, and Jack Canfield is he's a speaker, he's a trainer, coach. He's awesome, one of the best in the world, up there with Tony Robbins. And I took his TTO course, was his train the trainer online, and I got certified. And it was amazing taking this course. And one thing, as I was studying and going through his program, he has his formula, and it's E + R = O. And he said, and the advice, it's like you're giving me the advice, and everybody else is like in life, is E stands for event, R stands for response, and O stands for outcome. He said in life, we're going to encounter all these different events. I mean, you may be driving on the highway and somebody cuts you off. That's an event. Now, how you respond to that event is going to determine the outcome. And so every day, obviously, I have kids. I mean, I have a spouse, and I'm not. And my wife would tell you, like, if she was on this podcast, she like, man, he's a knucklehead at times. I want to slap him silly, and I'm dropping the ball. Like, I mean, I mess up every day, man. My wife checks me, man, and so
I get it. I hear you.
And so, like, I have all these different events, and so I got to just think about the E+R equals O. Like, hey, Ty, here's another event amongst many other today. And how you respond to this is going to determine your outcome. So are you going to pop off back, or are you going to just tell your wife, hey, yes, honey, okay, I'll go out here, I'll take care of it. And that way my outcome is cool. So that's, to me, I think that formula is great for anybody and everybody to have. It's always on my mind every day. And sometimes, I mean, a lot of times I'm dropping the ball, and I just,
hear you, man.
Yeah, my outcome is not great sometimes.
I'm with you on that one. And let's kind of go back to that, professional world. What would you say is the proudest moment you had in your professional career?
The proudest moment in my professional, man, there's so many of them. I would say I would go back to, I mean, I've won a lot of medals, of course. I would go back to 2005. 2005, I was coming off of I had a rocky year at track and field. And I was at Penn Relays, which it was like a USA versus the world, and all these other countries come to Philadelphia, and we battle. And I was running anchor leg on the 4x4 relay. It was raining, and for some reason I tripped up with another runner, and I fell on my side, and I'm face planted down. ESPN played it over and over again, and it's like, and then I get up, just my adrenaline's pumping, but I kept complaining. I kept telling my coach that I'm having pain in my lower abdominal area. He says, go see the physio. So I go see the physio. They do the x-ray. They saw you separated your pelvis. They said, season's over with. It's done. And I'm like, no, it's not done. I was like, give me any medication that's going to help me to minimize my pain without me testing positive. So I did 800 Motrin, went over to Europe. I was running. I was spitting up blood. True story. Get into my blocks. Then we have this. I didn't make the world championship team. So I made the world athletic final, which is all the best 400 meter runners in the world. And they put me in lane 7. Lane 7 is not the greatest lane, but
why?
Because you're outside. You're outside. You really can't see the runners. But for me, it's like if you're running your race, it shouldn't matter what lane you're in. And my coaches train me that way. They train me to be in the worst lanes. Doesn't matter where you are, right? Yeah. Doesn't matter where you got to be in the worst lanes. And so they put me in lane 7. The Olympic champion, the world champion was in, and everybody. I just I dropped the bomb on everybody. I broke the meet record, and I couldn't run. I couldn't run under 45 all year, and I ran 44, 50 something, and with the separated pelvis. So for me, that was like that breakthrough, right? That was a breakthrough.
I love it, man. Yeah. Let's bring this home here. What is that one thing that you do in this world better than almost anybody that makes you special? Ty, what's your superpower?
I visualize a lot. I'm big on visualization, and I see my race. I see what I'm going to do way before I do it. So I already, in my mind, I already have a test run. So I have the image, and I have step by step by step. And even when I was playing football, I can see the field, and I can see I'm looking at what the possible moves are going to be done in my head before it even happens. And I think I'm really big, and I think that helps me because when I see it, it just pumps me up. And I see myself, I visualize myself going through my runs or speaking or whatever it may be, and I just get excited. And it's like the vision is like as clear as day to me in my mind. And to me, that's like I'm really, really big on visualization. Because I believe what you see is what you're going to become and what you're going to do. And I do it.
I believe in that, man. And last but not least, listen, you've been at the top of the top. You've been on that first place pedestal. You've been the fastest guy in the world. You've been at the top of your profession, the top of your sport, something you trained for your whole life. And then you've had that stripped away from you and you've been at the bottom. You've been through some adversity. You've been through some bad shit in your life and you've been through some great shit. Where do you look deep down to either pull yourself up when you're at that bottom, when you're hating, you're hating these people that took that medal away from you? And on the flip side, when you want to show gratitude, when you're there with your 6 kids and your wife and life is just amazing and things are clicking. Ty, what is your North Star?
Well, my North Star is that first and foremost is that there would never be a hearse behind my, there would never be a U-Haul behind my hearse. I'm not taking nothing with me. It's not going to happen. And what I look to pick me up is that I go to my Bible, I read the book of Job. And most people don't know about Job. Job went through some crap in his life, and God allowed Satan to tempt him. And Job was rich, and he had a great family. He had friends. He had all of that. And when God allowed Satan to be able to go after Job, he took away his riches. He took away his He took away, so he wiped out his family. He affected his health. But in the end, like Job never cursed God, and God blessed him like 100 times fold. And so when I read my Bible and I think about Job, I think about, well, if he can do it, then I can do it, because that's motivation for me. And I know everybody has their pick me up in life. It may be that, they have their faith, or maybe that they go pray, or whatever it may be. But that's what picks me up. And I love listening to positive messages. If it's other podcasts, if I'm listening on YouTube, or if I'm watching a movie, I try to keep my circle positive, because they say like bad company corrupts good character, and so I don't want to be people that are negative and just constantly just complaining. I don't want to be around those people. I try to encourage them and to motivate them, but if they don't listen, then I just got to back away, because I don't want that to rub off on me.
I love it, man. I love it. I love your story. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. Quickly tell us where we could find the book. Tell us where folks could connect with you. Where could they find you? Where could they learn more?
Yeah, so my book is not going to be out until June. We're looking at between June 9th and June 20th. And so that my book will be on Amazon, so you'll be able to get it online, and then we'll have it up on my website. You can also go to my website if you want to book a speaker. I guarantee you that when I come in, I talk about overcoming adversity, leadership, teamwork, whatever I can motivate your company. If you have issues in your personal life, you need a life coach, somebody coach you, I can help you with that. And so my website is www.tyreeswashington.com. And you can also hit me up on my social media platforms at The Real Tyree S. Washington on Instagram, and Tyree S. Washington on Facebook, and as well as my LinkedIn account.
I love it. Now I'm going to link everybody to this. Ty, thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. It's always great, man, to share my story, because I believe stories change lives for the better. And that's what I'm going to continue to keep doing. Appreciate you, Adam.
Good stuff. And to everyone listening, thank you again for joining us on the podcast. Please be sure to follow us on all the social media channels. You know those links below. Subscribe, comment, network, share. Remember, take your online offline, and catch us next week for another great episode of the podcast. Take care, everybody.
Wisdom is forever, but for us, it's time to go. Thank you for joining us. Luckily, we'll be back with our next episode jam-packed with more incredible humans. For more info, please visit www.nhptalentgroup.com.